Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Today's podcast is sponsored by SLI Systems, providers of intelligent site search and navigation solutions. Learn more at sli-systems.com and listen to their interviews at eCommercePodcast.com.
Your path to e-commerce success starts right here. You're listening to Practical E-commerce, the podcast for e-commerce results.
Welcome to another edition of Practical E-commerce Podcast. I'm Mitch Bettis, the contributing editor for the magazine. Today, staff writer Michael Cox continues his discussion with it.Peapod's co-founder Thomas Parkinson. Mr. Parkinson, in this second part of a two-part interview, talks about surviving the dot-com bust and life after those early days as one of e-commerce's pioneers, as well as talks about what it has taken for them to both survive and succeed in a very competitive online market space. It's a terrific culmination of a two-part interview, so I think you'll like it. I'll turn it over now to Michael Cox and Thomas Parkinson.
And at what point did you guys make the decision to go public?
97.
That was 97. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and,
you went public kind of after the dot-com crash thing, then?
No, the dot-com crash happened 2000.
Was it that late? I was thinking it was
Yeah. Yeah, because believe me, I know, because if you go back and look at the history, there were three companies that crashed. We were one of them. It was Pets.com, Dr. Coops, and Peapod. And what happened to us is we had struggled through the reinvention of the company, and we had warehouses, and now we wanted to stamp them out. And so we hired the CEO. The board said, we need a rock and roll CEO. We need, because this was still, now the internet was just out of control. Everybody was just like, these CEOs were flying, and we need a rock and roll CEO. So we hired this guy, and we were closing on $120 million in financing, and he got sick on the day of closing. And so they pulled the financing, and my brother and I suddenly left alone trying to figure out what the heck are we going to do. And he said, Thomas, you worry about the people, I'll find the money. And so what happened was we negotiated a deal with Ahold, who we were already in a partnership with Stop and Shop on the East Coast, and we pitched them to purchase us, and that's what happened. So we were saved in the final hours. And now it's been a great thing because the pressure of being public was completely gone, and we just focused on our business again, and we're huge.
So now, is that where the ownership of the company rests today?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, obviously you guys were, you're pioneers in the sense that you took orders and fulfilled them from remote customers. Sort of going back to the days of when the corner grocery store used to deliver groceries anyway.
Right.
And I'm curious if in that middle America market where you are, if that wasn't maybe one of the reasons for your success is that people did really like the idea of having the groceries delivered again?
To be honest, I think that was an old traditional kind of thing. What it was when we started was in completely time-starved couples.
Time-starved couples, okay.
Yeah, I mean, people that just, I did a lot of deliveries because for the first 3 years I was a driver. I would code during the day and drive at night.
Wow.
And I was surprised. What really struck me is it was not rich people ordering from Peapod. It was working people. We were hitting the middle class, which was really interesting, and which was good news for us.
How did you arrive at that demographic? Was that a trial and error thing, or had you kind of thought maybe that's where the market was?
We didn't even have money to be sophisticated like that in the beginning. So what we did was Jewel allowed us to go on whenever we wanted and hand out brochures for Peapod to anybody that walked in the door.
Oh, okay.
And I wore like a Peapod outfit. My brother had to wear it. We both wore this Peapod outfit to, get attention.
The Fruit of the Loom twins.
Yeah, exactly. And we also went to places like CompUSA. They let us hand out brochures. So, and I made these, demo booths so you could quickly set them up. And it was, the problem was that not only were we selling the service, but we also had to educate people on, like, what are we talking about here?
Okay.
So I bet I did 500 modem installations.
You actually went and did them yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just
that's pretty heavy customer service.
Yeah, but it was the only way because these people would buy these internal modems and they just couldn't get them to work.
Right.
And so they'd call Peapod asking for tech support, and of course we were service oriented. I'd say I'll be there, and we were in a local area, so I'd say I'll be there in 10 minutes.
That was back in the days of having to know what the IRQ was and all of that stuff.
Absolutely, man. The little things that you're putting on. Yeah. And then I was really good at AT commands, which is talking to the modem.
Yeah. When one of the things that I like to ask people like yourself who you bootstrapped it right from the beginning. There are a lot of people who look at people like you and look at other successful companies and they look at it and go, oh, they've made it. They're on autopilot now. And is it your thought that you're never on autopilot, no matter how successful you get?
Never on autopilot. We are constantly worried about competition, and we are always listening to our customer, and we have surveys that go out, electronic surveys that go out every day. We're measured at the end of every month on our customer service levels. I will admit I'm not working as hard as I did when I was installing modems and running around neighborhoods and just, a completely frenzied life.
Well, if nothing else, technology's helped you a little bit.
Oh, yeah, like I don't have to, we were writing technology. We gave you a disk. So I was 100% responsible for that interface. Now, developing for the web is just like easy.
Yeah.
What it was, where we had to write a Macintosh version, a Windows version. My first version was DOS, then I did a new Windows version, and then I did a Mac version, then I did an additional Windows Mac version, and then finally we were able to, have a browser. Because, in the beginning days, our interface was very sophisticated, like Quicken, and so we couldn't use the first versions of the browsers. They weren't good enough to replicate our experience. So it wasn't till I felt really comfortable when that sort of 3.0 browser came out. Anyway, I never sit back and take it easy.
If you think back, are there a couple of specific mistakes that you made that you can land on when you think about it? Looking back on that 17 years, are there some mistakes that you guys made that stand out in your mind?
I would say the biggest mistake is that we were too early. I can't change that really, and I wish we'd diversified into other things. Basically, we were just so struggling to make Peapod work. Meanwhile, I saw all these other businesses flying around that we could have done easily. We were in hosting already. We were hosting from day one. I never took that and turned it into a hosting business which we could sell. We had online interfaces for everything. We could have sold books once we realized that books was a good thing, or anything
except
else.
Your mom said you couldn't do that, so.
Right, except for my mother. But it's really, really hard once you're in one business to diversify into others.
Let me ask you about the survival thing. Obviously, you went through one of the hardest periods in the short history of the industry. What were the conversations with you and Andrew like in those days? Did you have some doomsday conversations?
Well, I'll tell you, when that CEO quit, that was about as dark as it gets, because we had just finished 10 years of building this business, and neither of us had any money, and so we were sitting there looking at each other, thinking, what are we going to do? The one thing we had was we did have 10 years of culture that we had built in this company, and the employees weren't so quick to leave. We asked them to stick it out with us, and they did. And I think that wouldn't happen with a lot of younger companies. Or if you hadn't focused on your employees, they would have just been gone. I really think we got through that as a company because of the people. And then for my brother and me, we had no there was no giving up. You had always the responsibility of investors and customers, and you just
and employees.
can't give up. And employees. Oh yeah, absolutely employees. So it's a huge weight at times like that, but that's what sort of keeps you going.
That's it. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Practical E-Commerce Podcast. Log on soon for additional podcasts about professionals in the e-commerce world. We appreciate you joining us.